Did you know plants can communicate with each other? That side note, welcome back to Norris Teaches Science, Biology Edition with Mr. Norris. Today we are going to talk about photosynthesis. So by the end of this video, you should be able to say that I can explain the process of photosynthesis and how it relates to cellular energy. So before we begin that, let's talk about some basic stuff about cellular energy. Um, there's two things going on, building up or breaking down, that happens in the cell. Anabolism is when the body takes small molecules and assembles or builds them into large molecules. So small stuff with some energy makes a larger molecule. The body also will take large molecules and break them down into smaller particles and will release energy with that. So you have anabolism and catabolism. They work together with something called metabolism. Anabolism plus catabolism equals metabolism, and your body has to do metabolism to be living. Refer back to Characteristics of Life video. All the chemical processes that occur within a cell or an organism that is necessary to maintain life. That is what metabolism is. So you take your anabolism, you add in your catabolism, and you get your metabolism. A lot of isms in there. All right. This works out in with cellular energy. We kind of referred back to it when we talked about what the mitochondria is, or in my cell organelle video. But the cell gets energy when ATP is broken down to ADP. Let's break that down. ATP is a shorthand for saying adenosine triphosphate, and ADP is adenosine diphosphate. Tri means 3, di means 2. How it works. So you have ATP. Well, you need ATP. What happens is you have the ATP, and the bond on the last phosphate is broken. When that bond is broken, energy is released for the cell. But you now take the ATP and you turn it into ADP. Well, we need to have ATP back. So what happens is we add a phosphate back through energy from food, and we get ATP. And the process just keeps repeating ATP to ADP, ATP to ADP, to ATP to ADP. And this happens in the cell. But there are processes that work inside the cell or your body that gets these processes going. So what is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis definition is a process by which plants use energy from the sun to produce sugar or their food, or we also call this sugar glucose or a carbohydrate. So you can kind of see the process going on in this GIF to the side. Now, photosynthesis will only occur in plants and plant cells, and it's going to occur in the chloroplast. The chloroplast. We talked about that in the cell organelle video as well, what its job is, and its job is photosynthesis, or to make food. And plants are something called autotrophs. That's because they make their own food. Humans, we do not make our own food in our body. We have to consume food. We're called something else, heterotrophs. Photosynthesis will usually occur in the leaves of plants, and it's an endothermic reaction. What that means is it has to take energy in. It takes energy into the process. In this case, energy is coming from the sun. So with the chloroplast, let's just review a little bit about it. Chloroplast is filled with something called chlorophyll. It absorbs energy from the sun or light, and the chlorophyll is actually what gives the green color to most of the leaves. So, photosynthesis formula. If you're taking biology, you're going to probably need to memorize this formula because it's going to come back and haunt you whenever you have to deal with cellular energy. So photosynthesis says 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O plus light yields C6H12O6 plus 6O2. Lot of stuff going on. CO2 is carbon dioxide, H2O is water, light is energy, C6H12O6 is sugar or glucose, and O2 is oxygen. So all this works together. So decoding it again, just so you know, any chemical reaction, even photosynthesis, has reactants and products. Reactants, if there's an arrow, let me point this back out. There's an arrow in the chemical reaction. This is going to divide it into two sides. To the left of the arrow are called the reactants. So carbon dioxide, water, and light, or the energy, are the reactants. They're going to combine together in some form. The products on the right side of the arrow, they are going to be what's made. And so in this case, for photosynthesis, it's glucose or sugar and oxygen. And that's basically photosynthesis in a little nutshell. There's a whole bunch more about photosynthesis I could get into, but we're not going to cover it in this video. If you want to know more about photosynthesis, I suggest you check out Google, you read a science textbook, you ask your science teacher. But I hope you learned something today, and this is Mr. Norris, and he is signing out for this video.